What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So about 4 months ago, I posted this.
Alright, I'm just gonna put every character I played into S tier, and all the other characters go in D and good bait.
Yeah, so let me explain. 4 months ago, I had just gotten to my current command, which is Diego Garcia, and I didn't have my beautiful setup that you see behind me. So I still wanted to upload YouTube videos, and I decided to upload one from my laptop. And, well, as you can see, it wasn't the best upload I've ever had. However, the content that I did on it was actually something that I wanted to do, which was a tier list of the Paragon heroes when Paragon was alive. Now, I want to do the continuation of that tier list. So, I will be posting a continuation. However, I'm not going to redo the first video because I find that first video as like a progression video, like look where I came from versus look where I'm at now. And I feel that my video quality and my editing skills has gotten a whole lot better than what it used to be, especially when recording on a laptop versus recording on an actual camera and having an actual setup. So this is continuation number 2, part 2, and let's get into that tier list. All right. So what I've done was I looked at the end of my last video and I copied what I had for the last video, and we're going to get started on this video and continuing off where I left off. I didn't rewatch my original footage of when I made like the hour-long tier list. So I'm actually just going to run through with new thoughts in my mind, and let's talk about these heroes and let's place them where I think they are in this this tier list. Let's go. All right. We have Sparrow. Sparrow is pretty decent. She is a good ADC, especially to learn on, especially since she's like the hero that teaches you how to play ADC. I think that she is a good beginner hero, and her kit. Her kit was decent. If you built her up correctly, especially with attack speed, she can dominate the field, especially on damage. And for that, especially if she's built correctly, I think I will place her probably at B tier. I think that's where I'm going to place her. So the next person is Steel. Steel is obviously like the poster child of Paragon, him and Gideon. I think depending on which version of Steel you can get, he is a valuable person to have on your team. Very good in my opinion, as a support character. He's very bulky and can take some hits and defend you, especially with his shield. And for that, I think as a support character, I think I'll put him as B tier as well. All right, the next person is Faye, and if you haven't heard already, Faye has been announced for the game Predecessor. So if you have been following me for Predecessor news, the Faye is officially announced as the next hero coming out for Predecessor. How many times can I say Predecessor? Predecessor, Predecessor, Predecessor. All right, Faye. Faye was a very good support character. Faye was also a very good mid laner. He had some good range to it. He has some good crowd control. Especially with his Bramble Patch slowing down enemies. I think he's a good support character, and I will put him in A tier. That's an iffy. I want to put him in between A and B. He wasn't used very often. He's very squishy, but I think built right, I think he is a good hero that you can definitely use correctly. Next hero is Twin Blast, and Twin Blast was one of the heroes that kept getting changed a lot throughout the lifespan of Paragon. He is a good damage dealer. He was very underrated, I think, because he was changed so often. And just because his kit was changed very often, they couldn't stick with a very good kit for him. Depending on which version you had of him, I'm gonna put him in C tier, only because he kept getting changed and there wasn't something that you can stick with which version of Twin Blast that you wanted. So I'm gonna put him in C tier just because he just kept getting changed and you had to You had to figure them out differently and have a different play style with them. All right, and the next hero we have is Wraith. Wraith was also very underused. However, he did have a part of his kit which turned him and allies in a radius invisible, which was a huge deal, especially when getting ganks off. For example, if you had enemies in mid lane that your mid laner was having trouble with, Wraith, along with I think 2 other heroes, can be in the vicinity of them, and they could use his ability to turn invisible and then get right up on the enemy in mid lane and pretty much gank them. Other than that, I vaguely remember anything else about his kit, and yeah, besides that, wait, didn't he have something like a teleport ability that pulls that like rewind time or something for a hero or something? Something like that. I don't know. He wasn't very memorable for me. Not a lot of people played him. However, I do know that like when you had him on your team, it was kind of beneficial because of the fact that he had that invisibility ability. So because of that invisibility, I don't think he's good enough to be in B tier. I will put him at C tier though. I'm not going to drop him down any lower than that. Wukong.
Walk out the door, you see someone that you know, and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really
Wukong.
fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
How can we not put him in S tier? He was so broken, they had to take him out of the game on multiple occasions. I want to put him at S tier. I really do. He is S tier. He was taken out of the game so many times. His kit was phenomenal. I enjoyed playing him. He was my favorite offlaner to play. However, because the company took him out of the game, disabled him so many times in order to try to balance him out, I'm going to drop him down to A rank. Only because of that, only because that he was disabled so many times and that he was broken is essentially what it is. He wasn't broken in a good way. He was just super unbalanced where if you had a Wukong on your team, you basically won the game. So I'm going to take Wukong. I'm going to put him at A tier. However, we all know that realistically he should be S tier. All right, so we're at Yin now. Yin was an awesome character, especially when you built her attack speed. Her whip was, her whip sounded amazing. When you got some attacks off with her whip and everything, it shouted fear in your body. You knew there was a Yin around you, and you knew that if that Yin was built right, especially with attack speed, you were going to have trouble with her because she did so much damage, especially with attack speed. She had an awesome ability with her whip that pulled her to her whip, whatever she hit. So when using that, it was a great escape because there was a lot of elevation on the map that Yin can run up to a cliffside and whip the cliffside and pull herself up on it. So she had a good escape that she can use to get away from enemies. And when built for attack speed, she did a lot of damage. I'm going to put Yin at B tier. I think B tier looks good for her. All right, and next we have Zinx. Zinx was one of the newer heroes added into Paragon before Paragon was shut down. But even so, Zinx was not a hero that people used often. I don't want to say she was underrated. She wasn't. She just, in my opinion, wasn't a good hero to play. She had cool aspects to her. She had the potential to be good, I guess. However, I don't think she fit that role. So I'm going to say no to Zinx. And I'm not even going to put her at D tier. I'm going to put her as good bait. I was never worried about Zinx when running into her. All right. Now we have Feng Mao. Feng Mao is an extraordinary offlaner and has a really decent kit. He doesn't have any escape abilities, if I'm remembering correctly. He doesn't have any escape abilities. But as an offlaner, you realistically don't need that because you're going to be tanking most of the hits. But in terms of where he scales on the S tier, I don't think he's up there with Sevarog as an offlaner. I also don't think that he is broken like Wukong. So on the tier list, I'm going to put him at B rank. However, he does have a good potential to be A rank. All right, next up is Gideon. Gideon. The OG mid laner, at least for me. I played Gideon going into Paragon. He was the first hero I ever played, and I really did enjoy him. He has some great aspects to him, and his kit is phenomenal, mostly with meteors and everything, but he has an escape ability, his teleportation ability, and apparently, other people can use the teleport that Gideon placed. However, I've never actually seen it, and I've tried it. I don't know if you have to jump in it, if you have to push a button or what, but apparently you can jump into Gideon's teleporter when he uses it and go through the portal as well, and enemies could do it too. I've never seen it. I'm sure there might be YouTube videos of it or something, but I've never seen it. Anyway, I digress. Gideon's kit is pretty great. He is a mid laner. He does a good amount of damage. He's not as squishy as, like, say, Countess or something. So with Gideon and his kit and him not being squishy and he can still take some damage, I'm gonna put him at A tier. I think he's a really good hero. Next up, Greystone. All right, so Greystone is like the OG like tank. All right, he's the tank that people learn how to tank with. I keep saying tank, but I mean offlane. He's an offlaner. His kit's decent. His ultimate is not that decent, right? So his ultimate makes it to where when he dies, he shoots up to the sky and then he comes crashing down. That's not a good ultimate ability. When you get that ultimate ability, yeah, you feel fearless because you have a second chance. Even if you go in and you screw up and you die instantly, you have that second chance. But you died instantly for a reason, because the enemies are around you because they hit you harder, or they're faster, their spell speed is faster, their skill speed is faster. Like, you go straight up into the sky and you come crashing down, you do minimum damage to the enemies around you. It doesn't hurt them, and they're just standing there. You hit the ground, and then what do? You instantly die again. That's it. That's all. So, because of that ultimate, I am going to drop him down to C tier. If you had a better ultimate, I would probably put him at B tier. But as an offlaner and as that resurrection ability is not so good, C tier. Ain't nothing to it. All right, Grim.exe. He has a decent abilities. I can't remember a lot about Grim. There was quite a few people to understand Grim a little bit more than me. It took me the longest time to realize that Grim was the actual playable part of Grim is like the little character that's following around the robot with a remote control. That's the actual playable character, quote unquote playable character, and the robot is Grim.exe. So like, I didn't know that until like it just took me a long time to figure that out. I don't remember a lot about his kit. And I wish I did. I do remember that I wasn't super worried about when Grim comes on to the on the map. But because I don't remember a lot about Grim, I'm gonna put him at C tier.
Hey guys, editing version here. So the video, when I got it into DaVinci Resolve, ended up being almost an hour long. I didn't realize I had talked that long when talking about the tier levels. So I'm going to break this video up into 3 different parts, 20 minutes each. So be sure to check out part 2 and part 3 of the video.
Goodbye. Thanks for hanging out to the end. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, check out this video for part 1 of that guy. Go ahead, click on it. Nope, right here. Click. Right here. Do it. Do it. Right here. Not that hard. Just click. What are you waiting for? Click it.